So you can wrestle this stuff out with a friend or a group of friends. You can let this be a conversation starter for you and your spouse and your family. Or this could just be one more way that you're staying focused on living your faith. The Live It Challenge is your chance to take Sunday's inspiration and move it into living your faith Monday through Sunday. On Sunday, Pastor Mike talked about not wearing the religious mask. He talked about how faith in Jesus is not a religion to follow, but a way of living that should affect every area of your life and how you live it. It got me to thinking. If you do a little research into what scientists now know about the brain, you find some really super interesting things. Neuroscience has discovered that our brains are actually super plastic. They're malleable. They can change. We're constantly forming new pathways and connections, but we're also, as we do these things over and over again, making certain pathways, connections into the equivalent of well-traveled roads or a well-trodden path. They're these connections that we can now call habits. Habits are the kinds of things that we do without thinking. For example, maybe you check your email all the time, or your Facebook account, or Instagram, or you log into ESPN.com and you do it without even thinking. Or you open the fridge to look at what's in there and you're not even hungry. Or you turn your blinker on when you're making a turn. These are the kinds of things that we do without thinking. For some things, this is great, like using your blinker. You should use your blinker. Or maybe wanting to attend church on a Sunday morning, whether online or in person. Man, we can't wait to attend in person. For other things, this is not so good. There are habits we can create that can become mindless, like constantly checking email or social media, or opening the fridge out of the boredom rather than actually being hungry. Religion is mindlessly going through the motions. It means doing the actions without thinking. Faith in Jesus, it's not that kind of religion. Faith in Jesus is keeping your mind and your heart focused on the main purpose as you practice your faith. Going through the motions, it's not all bad. There are practices and yes, habits that we can do that, so long as we keep the purpose in mind and don't do them mindlessly, can actually enrich and strengthen our faith. Way back in the day in high school, I used to wrestle, and I imagine it's the same as pretty much every sport, but in wrestling, we had to do drills, like all the time. You're always doing drills. And when we do the drills, we were told to make sure that we did them hard enough that we didn't do them in a sloppy way when we were doing our drills. It was pointless to do a drill 100 times, or even like 2 times, in a way that wasn't how you would actually do it in a match, because if you did that, it wasn't even pointless. It was actually bad, because if you did it in a lazy way, your opponent would then be able to exploit that weakness. The point of a drill is to get you better at the sport. The point of church and prayer and Bible study and groups and the Live It Challenge is for you to grow in your ability to live your faith. Religion, it's when we mindlessly go through the motions, like mindlessly and half-heartedly doing the drills. Faith is mindfully doing practices for the purpose of living your faith in your life. In James 1:26-27, it says this: "If you claim to be religious but don't control your tongue, you are fooling yourself, and your religion is worthless. Pure and genuine religion in the sight of God the Father means caring for orphans and widows in their distress and refusing to let the world corrupt you." If you read the Bible and neglect to change because of it, that is meaningless and useless religion. If it doesn't cause you to live differently, it's useless. If, however, you read the Bible and it causes you to live differently, and according to James, you can see that, like when people actually help those who are in need of help, then that's faith in Jesus. That's the kind of religion that's more than just religion. That's living your faith. That's living transformed by Jesus' incredible grace and forgiveness and his new life that he offers. If you pray without meaning the words, that's just useless religion. If you pray and mean it, even if it's only a few words like "God, help me live for you today," that's living your faith. To help you chew on this a bit and let it sink in and take root so you can live it this week, here are a few questions to consider. And by the way, I don't know if you know this or not, but thinking on these things actually helps you build and turn and firm up those pathways in your brain and helps you live differently. This is actually one of the ways where, like, if you were to zoom in on your brain as you're answering these questions, you could actually see like the physical change in your brain that's happening and like God transforming you in a physical and emotional and spiritual way. You could actually see it happening. So think about these questions, take them seriously so you can actually continue to live and change and be transformed by God. Here's the first question. What is one thing that you do religiously? Something you do regularly without really thinking about it. What's that one thing? Second question is this. What can you replace that religious action with that helps you to live your faith more purposefully and less mindlessly? And then the third question is this. Pastor Mike challenged us to not only think about the everybody's, our everybody's, by the way, are these things that we do as a church, things that all of us do together. It's everybody fits, invites, connects, worships, steps, plays. Instead, he said we could actively do them. So the question is this. Which everybody are you going to live this week? And then finally, our challenge for this week is this. Let your growing faith lead you to an active faith. Be inspired this week by something that grows your faith, like reading the Bible or praying or listening to a worship song or hearing the sermon or listening to this Live It challenge. Let one of these things inspire you to actively live your faith through actions this week. That's all I've got today. Have a great week, and let's live it together.